guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a really exciting video for you today that's actually in collaboration with two of my beauty YouTuber friends, Katie Marie and AgapeLoveGirl, whose name is Maria in real life. They both have amazing YouTube channels as well as really bomb Instagram accounts. If you have never checked out their content before, I highly suggest it. I will link their channels and their Instagram profiles for you guys in the description box of this video, along with links to their videos on the topic we're collabing on today, which is beauty trends / products that no longer excite us. If you've been around the beauty community for a while, you know how things are with trends. A brand will release a product and then everybody jumps on the train. Everybody's releasing their version of it. All of a sudden, all you see are everything about that trend exploding everywhere, and then like 6 months later, we're all over it. Some trends definitely stick around longer than others, but for this particular collab, we're going to be chatting about, for ourselves specifically, the trends and products that we used to be really into that we're just not feeling anymore. And honestly, I'm super excited to see what Katie and Maria have to say on this topic because I have so much respect for both of them in terms of their opinions on everything beauty. Maria makes the most bomb tutorials. Her Instagram tutorials, her little 1-minute ones, are so cute. They're so well produced, and she just does the most beautiful job with her makeup, especially her eyeshadow. I just want to steal her talent for doing eyeshadow. It's so good. And Katie, she is just so great with reviews. She's super honest and definitely super down to earth. I have so much respect for the fact that she doesn't really sugarcoat things, but she's also not mean or unfair. Like, she just has a really solid, well thought out opinion on everything that she talks about. She does really creative things with her makeup. I've seen her blossom over the last year. She's kind of newer to YouTube. She, like myself, started out writing a beauty blog called From My Vanity. So she definitely is newer in this world, and she's just taking it by force. She posts really consistently, so kudos to you, Katie, and also to Maria for constantly putting out amazing content. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say on this topic. And in the meantime, if you're interested in hearing what I have to say about beauty trends that don't excite me anymore, keep on watching. So I wanted to preface this video by saying that I found this topic actually a little bit harder to talk about than I thought it was going to be for me. And I think the reason is that I generally have a hard time getting into trends in the first place. I kind of know how I like to wear my makeup, and it doesn't change all that much. And just because products are trendy, if I'm not really into it, I just won't buy it. I'm not the kind of person that feels I need to buy and try everything just to review products. I really buy makeup that I like and I enjoy wearing. So when it comes to trends and products that I'm no longer into, that I used to be really into, there really aren't that many things because I love what I love, and then there are a lot of trends that I never even got into or never even tried. So I feel like there's a very small window of things that I used to be really into that I now don't really like and don't really do anymore. I would probably say the biggest and most noticeable thing that has changed for me in terms of beauty trends that I'm not into is winged liquid eyeliner. The whole cat eye thing and the beautiful sharp crisp wings is still a really huge trend in the makeup community, especially on Instagram. People have these incredible makeup looks and they have these really big, bold, beautifully sharp wings. And while I still enjoy that look every once in a while, 95% of the time, I don't wear any eyeliner at all. I still do colorful, fun eyeshadow looks, but I tend to either smudge a little eyeshadow on as liner. Maybe once in a while I'll reach for a pencil liner or a gel liner just to add a little fullness to my lashes. But I feel like I don't get as excited about doing the whole wing thing anywhere near as often as I used to. And honestly, I think part of it was when I first delved into the beauty YouTube world, having that permission to go full glam and to really experiment with something that I was really into and that really excited me, because I didn't wear my makeup like that very often in my day-to-day life previous to that. So I feel like I had this surge of wanting to do the lashes, do the big wings, do really cool, fun, funky eye looks. And then over time, I feel like my makeup actually became more simple and everyday wearable again. And that's really where I feel like my style has kind of landed makeup that is glam, but is also still something I wouldn't feel weird wearing to the office. Although, to be honest, I have no judgment to anyone that wants to wear like the full V and the winged liner and everything to work. I mean, you do you. Honestly, if you feel comfortable and you feel confident in what you're wearing, I think it's awesome, and I have no judgment on that. I just know for myself, personally, I think I just tend to be a little bit more practical. The other thing for me too is that a really, really good wing takes time. It's detailed. You have to really sit there and like work at it. It's not something I can just swing on really quick most of the time. It's something that's going to require a little more focus. So I tend to reserve it more for special occasions and for filming and whatnot. I feel like I don't miss it, or like, I don't know, I don't feel as excited, I guess, about it as I used to. It's something I still think looks beautiful and I enjoy doing on occasion, and I love looking at pictures of people with really cool wings. I honestly don't think it's something that I get very excited to do very often anymore. Something else that I feel like has shifted for me pretty significantly over the years is my highlighter. So I love highlighter. That is one trend I feel like it's gonna take me a long time before I'm not excited about it anymore. But I feel like back in the day, I didn't really think very much about the undertones of the highlighters that I was wearing, and I definitely used to wear more pink toned highlighters. Like, I'll show you guys this one as an example. Like, this is the Makeup Geek highlighter in Luster, and this is a beautiful highlight, don't get me wrong. The way that it looks on the skin is gorgeous, but these types of tones, I'm over it. I don't really feel like they flatter my skin very well, and I don't know if it was just me being a makeup noob or my preferences just changed, but all of those kind of more pink and purple toned highlighters, I used to think they were really pretty. I used to own a lot more of them, but I've decluttered pretty much all of them at this point, and I typically tend to stick to champagnes, gold, and maybe like a rose gold, especially when I'm more tan and it looks a little bit more natural on my complexion. That's really what I go for. I tend to stick to highlighters that have a fair amount of shine, but not really any glitter in them. I kind of have like narrowed down my preferences significantly from what I used to like. So the next beauty trend that I used to be into at one point that I now like don't really care about is color correcting. Now, in my own personal makeup history, the first time I started experimenting with color correcting was like long before the days of YouTube. So I almost didn't want to count this because the most recent popularity of color correcting, like color correcting last year was a huge thing. I like was already over it before that trend even started, and like never jumped on the bandwagon because I had already like had my color correcting day back in the past. And honestly, the reason why I just didn't get into it this time around is that I don't feel like that it's necessary for everyone. And I feel like sometimes products become really trendy and makeup brands push things on consumers, making them think that they need them, and they're like, ooh, look at all this cool stuff that you can do. But honestly, most people I don't think really need color correcting. So I just am kind of like, I'm over it. I've been there, I've done that, and now that I don't have really severe acne, I don't really feel that I have anything to color correct for. Back in the day when I was much younger, like my teen years / early 20s, I am now in my early 30s, just as an FYI, I used to have acne, and so I kind of learned about color correcting and using like a green color corrector on acne to kind of neutralize redness under foundation, and that was something I definitely used to do a lot at that time. But then as my skin cleared up, I realized I didn't really need it anymore. So now I think it's kind of funny because there are so many more color correcting options on the market. I wish I had those like 7 or 8 years ago to play with when I really needed them. But now that they're really popular and widely available, I'm kind of just over it because I personally don't think that my skin needs that much color correcting. I don't really have dark circles under my under eyes. I don't really have a lot of discoloration, and like I said, I don't really have that much acne. Usually a concealer is perfectly fine if I do have a pimple to cover it up. So yeah, I just think that that's one of those trends that has become popular, and I'm sure for some people is really, really helpful, but for the average consumer, I think most people don't really need that extra step of color correcting in every day, and I'm just not really into it. And I would say probably the last and most recent kind of change that I've made in my beauty routine in terms of things that I used to do and be into that I'm not really into anymore is like heavy powdering of the face. So I was never someone that got into the whole baking trend. I honestly very rarely do it, if at all. It was never something that I felt I needed to do. I think that for film, for stage, for, you know, anyone that's gonna be under heavy lights and that's really needs their makeup to last, I think baking makes a lot of sense. I mean, it kind of came out of the drag scene, so obviously drag queens being performers, they really needed their makeup to look super flawless and to not melt in the lights when they were performing. So it makes a lot of sense like where baking has its place, but for me in my makeup style every day, it was never something that I personally got into. But I do feel like as I got into the beauty world, I never really set my foundation that much before, and then I kind of felt like I had to powder. That was a step I had to do in my makeup routine. I own a bunch of different loose and pressed finishing powders, and I would always be testing them out and trying them out. And lately, I feel like most days, I very lightly set my makeup, if at all, and I actually have been really liking the way that my makeup looks. Especially, I use a lot of mattifying products because I have oily skin, and what I've noticed is that if a product does set down on its own and it dries completely, adding on an extra layer of powder is kind of unnecessary, and I feel like it ultimately ends up making my skin oilier because my skin becomes more dry, and then I think that prompts the skin to produce more oil. So what I've been doing lately is not setting my face a lot of times. Maybe if I have a really creamy concealer on my under eyes, I'll set that so it doesn't crease. But on the rest of my face, I'll just let the foundation set, and then if I start to get a little bit shiny, then I'll go in and I'll powder. And I actually like that better because then I'm not layering powder on top of powder on top of powder every time I touch up my makeup. And that's been working really well for me. And it's funny because powdering, I think, is such a big thing in the beauty community. Everybody has their opinions about the best loose powders, and I feel like watching a lot of beauty tutorials, a lot of people really pack the powder on. So it's been really interesting for me to kind of like take a step back and experiment with less powdering and seeing how that works, especially with my skin being oily and being prone to getting really shiny throughout the day. And it's been an interesting experiment. I've been enjoying it, and I definitely find myself a lot less excited to like go crazy with the powder on my face. So that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you're new here, if you have come over from Katie or Maria's channels, I'm so happy to have you here. I hope that you will subscribe and stick around and come back for more of my videos in the future. And if you are one of my normal subscribers and you have not yet checked out Katie or Maria's videos, I highly suggest that you do. Again, they make really wonderful content. I think you will enjoy it a lot. I also want to say thank you to both of you ladies for collaborating with me. This was a lot of fun, and I hope we'll get to work again together in the future. And yeah, with all of that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.